Whether you're removing parts from a shape, bending shapes to your will, or even creating silhouettes of a skyline, you are likely going to find that 90% of your projects within Inkscape are going to use the pen tool. So today, I'm going to show you the basics of how to use it. Hello my friends, Rob here from Button Press Graphics, back with another Inkscape tutorial. Today's topic is this, the pen tool. The pen tool is going to be used for around 90% of your projects that you create within Inkscape, and there are a few caveats to using it. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to do so. So to begin today, we have to select the pen tool. The pen tool can be selected right here with this button. Now, as soon as you get this selected, you will have the properties toolbar change up in the top left corner across here. Now the scale you do not have to worry about, because you can set the width of any stroke that you create using the pen tool just by going to your fill and stroke menu. Today we're going to be covering the 5 different modes and the shape. So first off, let's go with the standard mode. So this one is going to create a bezier path. Now this just simply means that you can create a path with your pen tool like so, and you can of course create it in any way you want. So for example, if you do not want to create a slightly off square just like this one, you can hold things like Control and it will lock it on to the vertical or horizontal axes. And if you want to go in increments, you can, just like this. By holding Control, I am moving within 15-degree increments every time. So if you want to lock it down, you can do exactly that. Now this last one is going to be slightly off because I wasn't completely vertical when coming back up to meet the start node. But this is pretty much how it works. Now, of course, you can create curved lines as well by clicking a start point and then moving along. If you click and hold, as you drag, you will get the transformation handles appear, which are these 2 little blue lines coming from the node. Now, this is the line you're going to create. But as you can see, if you want this to go vertical straight down here, it's not going to happen, is it? Because that red line that you can see that I'm moving around right now is exactly where the tool is going to put the line. You can get around this by simply pressing the right click. So right clicking will finish where you are, but it will not finalize the path. It will still leave it as an open path. The difference between an open and a closed path is the open path has 2 end nodes. A closed path is like these squares here. There are no end nodes, they all link up together. So the start point and the end point is this corner here, and it was the same on this one. However, this one is already open. Now say you click off it, or you want to move and oh no, you wanted to join it onto the end of there, but you didn't do it. You misclicked. Well, that's simple to rectify. By undoing, you have now got this. You can carry on where you left off by going to your select tool, which is right here, or you can press S on the keyboard. Now that you've got your select tool, select the line you want to continue and then go back to your pen tool or the node tool. Now it's worth mentioning that the pen tool and the node tool work hand in hand. These two tools were made for each other, but do not fret, I will be covering the node tool in an upcoming video next week. Now that you have your pen tool selected again and you want to continue, you can select the node, and of course you have it going vertically down, and then you can curve this again by clicking and dragging. Right click, and now I will be able to join them up. Now if I go back to my select tool just so I can move it out of the way, as you can see, we now have a cylinder shape. These are the basics of how to create with the pen tool, but there is more that you can do. I'm not going to go over using the handles in this tutorial. That will be coming in next week's tutorial when I go over how to use the node tool. But the next mode that I wanted to show you is the spiral path. Now the spiral path works in exactly the same way. If you saw my paper cutout method from a previous video, you will have seen me use this and briefly describe how it works. If I go back to the bezier path mode and do a little zigzag line like this, you get something that looks like that. Now the difference between the bezier path tool and the spiral path tool is you can follow these exact points again, but you will have no straight lines. So if I show you over the top of this one, I'm just following the same path but as you can see now, if we just grab this other piece and pull it away, it's exactly the same shape, except this one was created with no straight lines. Every single line is curved, and this is the effect that you will get. Next is the B-spline path. The B-spline is exactly the same as the original mode, except this one will use the basis of what you are creating, all of the straight lines, and it will create a curved line from it. So if we went to do a square, for example, I'm just holding Control to make sure it's vertical and horizontal. And as I come up, as you can see, it creates a circle. Now the reason it's done this is because it will curve between every straight point that you make. If I do a 90-degree angle, you will get a 90-degree gradual turn. The dark blue that you can see is where the line will be created. But if I started to zigzag, as you can see, the curved line is now taking the path of least resistance and curving every line using my straight lines as the basis to do so. And now we get something that looks like, well, a fried egg. The next one is this one right here. Create a sequence of straight line segments. This will give you nothing but straight lines. No matter what you do, unlike the Bezier, you cannot click and drag to get a curve. It will only ever give you straight lines. So if you want to avoid double clicking and creating a curve where you don't want any curves, this would be the mode to use. Just like that. And finally, the last mode is this one. Now this one will always give you straight lines. However, this time it will only ever do angles that are 90 degrees So as you can see, it is always a 90-degree turn that I make and no curves at all. So this is kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. Now, if you don't know what an Etch-a-Sketch is, and maybe I'm showing my age just a little bit, I will put a picture on screen right now. It was an old kid's toy that used to allow you to create pictures by using two little dials, one to go up and down and another one to go left and right. Now with this you can make some very abstract designs, as you can see right now. But there are other things that you can do with the pen tool. Now using the Bezier path, I am just clicking and dragging things until I get the shape that I want. You can then use this shape in a multitude of different ways. You can edit it with the node tool, or you can cut this shape out of other shapes. You can use this as an intersection for one of your other shapes. In fact, this is probably the most commonly used tool in any project that you will create, but you can change it further still. By going to the shape, you will see that you have triangle in, triangle out, an ellipse from clipboard, bend from clipboard, and last applied. Now I strongly suggest going through and trying these all out for yourself. But for now I'm just going to show you the triangle in, out, ellipse and clipboard, for example, just to give you the basic understanding of what these shapes do. If we go to triangle in and then we create a shape, it will be created in exactly the same way. But say I was just to do this and then I was to end it there. As you can see, we now have a triangle. So we have a point at one end and of course the thick end at the other. So it's called a triangle for the simple reason it has 3 points. 1, 2, and then 3. And we change this again to triangle out and then do exactly the same shape. You probably guessed it, it will work in reverse, just like this. Next you can use the ellipse. Again, I'm going to use the same shape. And as you can see here, this will give you a curved edge on each end of an open path. Now the caveat to this is these are for strokes. If we was to do a square like so, you get a very weird effect, just like that. So closed paths don't work well with the triangle in, triangle out and the ellipse, but having an open path like these will work really well. And this is a good shortcut. For example, to use the ellipse is a good shortcut to have curved edges if you don't want to be hypercritical about the point, which will allow you to avoid going to your path effects and using taper stroke. But finally, I want to show you one of the modes that I use quite a bit myself. It allows you to create shapes and then use them shapes with the pen tool. So let me show you exactly what I mean. Just like I showed you in the intro, it was a leaf or a feather or however you want to look at it. We are just going to create a shape that we can use after we copy it onto the clipboard. Now for this, I'm just going to create 2 circles, and let's change the color slightly so I can see them better. And I am going to open the fill and stroke menu so we can get the opacity down slightly. So the fill and stroke menu can be found here if you're using the new version of Inkscape. If you're still using the old version, then you can find it at the top bar underneath this file bar here. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to come down to my opacity and cut it in half. Now with that done, I'm going to go back to my select tool and I'm going to go path, object to path. You don't really need to do that, but force of habit for me, I go object to path whenever I start editing any of my shapes. But as I said, you don't really need to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this. You can do that by holding Control and pressing D, or you can right click and then press duplicate. And now I'm just going to slide this down, and I'm paying particular attention to where this shape overlaps. So this darker yellow right here. And that looks about right to me. So now I'm going to hold Shift, select them both, and then I'm going to go to Path, Intersection, and we'll get something that looks like this. Now it's a good rule of thumb, and it's just a good caveat to know. I am not creating this stood up like this, because whatever I create with the pen tool will go from left to right. So if I did it here, it wouldn't look right. If I do it this way, it will. So I can show you exactly what I mean by that very, very soon. But for now, I'm going to just darken this a little bit so it's easier for you all to see. And now I'm going to come to my pen tool, and I'm just going to create some random cutouts from the side of each. And as you can see, I messed up because I forgot to change it from ellipse back to none. So yeah, I'm going to delete that and start again. I think that one looks better anyway, so I'm going to keep it with that. And then I'm going to duplicate this shape by Control and D. So now if I come to my select tool, I've duplicated it, as you can see, and I'm just going to flip it this way and then click to drag it down. Now I'm not going to be perfect, I just wanted to get it similar to the opposite side. And with these both selected by holding Shift and selecting the other one, I'm going to go to Path, Union. That makes them all one shape. Then I'm going to hold Shift, select this yellow shape behind it. Well, that looks a little bit more green at the moment. And then I'm going to go to Path, Difference. And you'll get something that looks a little bit like this. Now with that done, I'm just going to create a quick triangle going up like so. Again, I'm going to hold Shift, select them both, and then I am going to go Path, Union. Now they are all one shape, and you have something that looks a little bit like that. Now, like I said before, I am not going to have it going vertically. However, I am going to duplicate this just so I can show you what would happen if I did. And now with them both selected, I'm going to turn the opacity all the way back up. And I'm going to press 5 just so I can zoom out to the canvas. Now here is one of the most interesting things that you can do with the pen tool. As you can see, even creating this shape, the pen tool was used. This is why I say the pen tool is a great universal tool that can be used for a lot of different things. Now, selecting this top one that we created, I'm going to right click and copy. Now, when we go back to our pen tool, I'm going to go to the shape, select from clipboard, and then we're going to create our shape. Now say we wanted it to bend. I'm going to come across, click and drag so we can bend the line. And now with it done, we're going to right click. And as you can see, we have the exact same shape bent. You can even have it waving if you would like. So we're going to bend up like this and then have the second line coming the opposite direction like that, and right click, and as you can see we get a really nice effect. So now you can make this very static standard leaf or feather or whatever you would like to call it and get it to flow in the direction that you want. Now let's take this one. This is the reason that I laid it going from left to right. When you use the pen tool, the left will be your start point. The right will be your end point. So as you can see, I started from this side and I ended on this side. So if I was to go back to my pen tool and come from the right side going to the left, you would get exactly the same. But the leaf would be going in the opposite direction. Wherever you start from will be the left, wherever you end will be the right. So if we was to come to this leaf, use my select tool to select it, right click, copy, and then come back to the pen tool. Now if I was to do it, you would get a much different effect, as you can see. Say I was just to do one simple curve like so. As you can see, it has widened it because it's using the left side of this graphic as the start point and using the right as the end point. So there you have it, my friends. That is how you can use the basics of the pen tool. Have fun trying it out for yourself, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Did you know that you can become a member of the Button Press Graphics YouTube channel? Well, now you do. You will get a lot of added benefits and you will directly support the channel, enabling me to make much better content in the future. Also, you can send in your artwork into the Creative Corner. This is a regular section where I will showcase your work in a future video. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell, and I will see you next time.